Hello and welcome back to Eurofootball Daily, where today we're covering the best upgrades in football history. Here we go. 10. Diogo Costa for Radamel Falcao. Atletico Madrid make the first of two appearances on our list at number 10. Los Colchoneros have always excelled at replacing strikers, from Christian Vieri and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank in the 90s to Torres, Forlan, Aguero and Radamel Falcao, who joined from Porto in 2011 for €40 million, then a club transfer record. The Colombians spent only 2 seasons with Simeone's side, but scored 70 goals in 91 appearances, winning the Copa del Rey and Europa League, and reintroducing the club to the upper echelons of continental football. But Monaco handed the credit card of Russian billionaire Dmitry Rybolovlev, paid €60 million for him, making him the 8th most expensive player ever. Rather than reinvest the funds, Simeone simply handed a starting spot to 25-year-old Diogo Costa, a promising forward but one who had never scored more than 20 league goals before. It was a spectacular success. Costa netted 27 times in La Liga and 36 times in all competitions, helping Atletico win the division for the first time since 1996 and reach the Champions League final. Though he left that summer, the Brazilian-turned-Spaniard had re-established Atleti as European heavyweights. 9. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang for Robert Lewandowski. How do you replace Robert Lewandowski, a man who got over 100 goals for your club and became the 7th highest scorer in Borussia Dortmund history? That was the dilemma facing BVB in 2014 when their Polish superstar left for arch-rivals Bayern Munich on a free. The forward had scored or assisted over a third of Dortmund's goals over the previous 3 years, won 2 titles and reached a Champions League final, having arrived at the Westfalen Stadium for just €4.5 million. And to be honest, the club screwed it up. Klopp shelled out €18 million for Torino's Ciro Immobile, who never fitted their style and who had scored just 3 in his single year in Germany. Fortunately, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was there to pick up the pieces, a €13 million bargain who had hit 13 from the wing in his first year with BVB. In Lewandowski's absence, that rose to 16, then 25 the year after that, and 31 in 16-17. After being moved into the centre, Uber grabbed 125 and 165, becoming the 4th highest scorer in a Dortmund shirt, and bringing in a €50 million profit when he joined Arsenal in 2018. And while he may not have returned the club to the Champions League final, Lewandowski would reach exactly the same number with Bayern. 8. Nemanja Vidić for Gabriel Heinze. The 2005-06 season was one of Man United's weakest in the Premier League era. While Ferdinand and Neville were always outstanding, the rest of the defence was a patchwork of utility men and backups, with Silvestre, Brown and Heinze all seeing minutes. United failed to win the league for a 3rd season running, and Alex Ferguson raided Russia for a solution, bringing in Serbian centre-back Nemanja Vidić from Spartak Moscow. United had still only conceded 34 in 38 despite the dodgy personnel, but Vidic's arrival was a shot in the arm for the defence. The Red Devils won 3 titles on the bounce for the 2nd time in their history and didn't allow over 30 goals for 4 consecutive campaigns, with the Vidić-Ferdinand partnership letting in just 101 goals in 152 matches in that time. After falling out of favour, Heinze was surprisingly targeted by Liverpool and Real Madrid, leaving Old Trafford for the Bernabeu in 2007. He ended up cycling through 3 clubs in 5 years, while Vidić was named United captain, winning 5 titles and the Champions League. 7. Carlos Tevez for Alessandro Matri. Carlos Tevez's marriage with Man City was never entirely happy. Though the Argentinian twice hit 20 league goals for the citizens and helped them to a first title in 44 years, he was surplus to requirements at the end of the 13-14 season, and City allowed him to join Juventus for a bargain €10 million. Tevez was 29 at the time, the same age as the man he replaced, Alessandro Matri. Matri had just departed for Milan for €11 million, giving Juve a profit on the exchange, and over the next 2 years Carlitos bagged 50 goals, 21 more than Matri managed in 3 campaigns. The Bianconeri reached the 2015 Champions League final and won the title in both years, bringing Tevez the 6th and 7th domestic championships of his career, while the striker was named the club's Player of the Year in both seasons. At the end of his spell in Italy, Tevez returned to Boca Juniors, a move which gave Juventus first dibs on promising youngster Rodrigo Bentancur. Meanwhile, Matri played just 15 times for Milan and scored a single goal before departing on a series of loans, including back to Juve. His best tally in a single league campaign since is 8. 6. Philippe Coutinho for Charlie Adam.
So, nearly there guys, but if you've had enough at this point, why don't you check out Stat Wars, where we do battle over your football related trivia by clicking the I button just above. And as ever guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
With Liverpool scaling the heights of European football under Klopp and Stoke plumbing the depths, it's hard to believe that Charlie Adam once wore the famous red shirt. The Scot joined Liverpool from Blackpool to add some creativity to their midfield, and that wasn't so crazy at the time, as Adam had scored 12 and assisted 8 in a relegated team in 2010-11. However, in a much better side, Adam was involved in just 8 strikes, with his primary skill of taking corners lacking value for a team playing a more expansive style. He was moved on after 12 months, and new coach Brendan Rodgers turned to Italy for his replacement, adding Philippe Coutinho in the January window. They're now to favourite Inter Milan. He cost just €13 million. Liverpool had scored 1.8 goals a game before the Brazilian arrived, but that rose to 2.1 afterwards. Unsurprising, given that Coutinho would average exactly a goal or assist every other match at Anfield, establishing himself as one of the world's best creative talents. After starring under Rodgers and Klopp, he was poached by Barcelona in 2018 for €120 million, the third most expensive transfer ever. Somehow we don't think they'll be looking at Charlie Adam. 5. Luis Suárez for Alexis Sanchez. Alexis Sanchez joined Barcelona as a star in the making in 2011 after a successful 3 years at Udinese. He went on to win a title with the Blaugrana as well as 5 other trophies, but Sanchez's time at the Nou Camp was broadly seen as a failure. Barca won only 1 title in 3 years, with Real and Atleti both beating them to championships, and didn't reach a Champions League final during the Chilean stay, while he averaged under a goal every other game for the club. Sanchez went on to relative success with Arsenal, but Barca used his departure to build a crack front line, adding Luis Suárez to Neymar and Lionel Messi for €82 million, a price that looks reasonable now. After missing the early months of the season with a biting-related ban, the Uruguayan came back firing and delivered a treble in his debut season, adding another 2 titles in the next 3 campaigns. While Sanchez bagged 0.3 goals a game in Catalonia, Suárez has managed an insane 0.8, became the first person to finish La Liga season as top scorer and top assister, and has lifted a trophy every 18 appearances. 4. Antoine Griezmann for Adrian Lopez. It shows how far Atletico Madrid have come that Adrian Lopez was once a starter for the club. The Spaniard joined Atleti from Deportivo in 2011 and missed just 8 league games over the following 2 years. In 90 league appearances for the Rocky Blancos, he netted only 11 times, the same number he got in 19 games in the 2011-12 Europa League, as Madrid lifted the trophy. That was to be his biggest contribution to the club, as, after scoring just once in 22 matches during the 2014 title-winning campaign, he was sold to Porto for just €11 million. For Lopez's replacement, Simeone selected Antoine Griezmann, then a 23-year-old winger at Real Sociedad. The Frenchman had helped the club return to La Liga in 2010 and was coming off a campaign in which he had bagged 16 league goals, the best record outside the Spanish top 3. Atleti paid €30 million to beat Arsenal to his signature. Strangely, Griezmann took fewer shots and created fewer chances the following year, but went from scoring 0.5 goals a game to 0.8, hitting 22 in La Liga, the same as Neymar in fewer minutes. He has since scored more than 25 goals in 4 consecutive campaigns, taking Atletico to another Champions League final and coming 3rd for the Ballon d'Or in 2016. 3. David Silva for Stephen Ireland. Long before Stephen Ireland turned into the injury-prone midfielder that has made 4 Stoke appearances in 2 seasons, he was at Man City, literally and figuratively pulling the pants down of opposition midfielders. In the 2008-9 season, the last full campaign under Mark Hughes, the Irishman was named City Player of the Year, having scored an impressive 13 goals in 50 appearances as Man City finished 10th. But the following December, Hughes was sacked and Roberto Mancini was installed as Sheikh Mansour's first managerial appointment. Within 2 years, the Italian had completely overhauled his squad, getting rid of players such as Dunn, Bojinov and Ireland and replacing them with Dzeko, Toure and David Silva. The £26 million signing of Silva captured the City fans' imagination. The 24-year-old had already won 32 Spain caps, a Euros and a World Cup, and he hasn't disappointed since. He has been the creative fulcrum of a side that has won 7 trophies in the last 7 years. At the age of 32, the 119-cap Spaniard has arguably had his best season, being directly involved in 20% of City's 102 league goals, and is now finally being included in the discussion for the Premier League's greatest import. 2. Dani Alves for Oleguer. A Catalan by birth, Oleguer Presas arrived at Barcelona as a 21-year-old and spent 3 seasons with the club's B-side before he was promoted to the seniors by Louis van Gaal. He would go on to become a regular under Frank Rijkaard, picking up 2 Spanish titles and a Champions League in 2006. However, Oleguer was a liability in the final, eventually getting subbed off for Giuliano Belletti, who scored the winner. Having missed just 5 games that year, Oleguer missed 39 over the next 2 campaigns, and Pep Guardiola, who took over from Rijkaard in 2008, made Dani Alves his 4th signing. paying €35 million for the Brazilian. That meant the former Sevilla man was one of the most expensive defenders in history, and he certainly repaid the investment. Over 8 seasons at Barca, Alves lifted 23 pieces of silverware, including 6 league trophies and 3 Champions Leagues, and gained a reputation as one of the world's best attacking fullbacks. Now at PSG, the 17-18 Coupe de la Ligue made the defender the most decorated player in football history, pipping former Barcelona teammate Maxwell to the top spot. 1. Cristiano Ronaldo for Arjen Robben. Cristiano Ronaldo would be an upgrade on virtually anyone, but Arjen Robben never quite worked out at Real Madrid. The Dutchman was a high-profile €35 million acquisition from Chelsea, but was already known for his injury problems, and proceeded to play just 50 out of a possible 76 matches over his 2 years at the Bernabeu. In fact, Robben has only once made more than 30 league appearances in a season, back in 2002-03, when he was at PSV, while he's played under 20 games 5 times. So Real replaced him with Ronaldo, whose fitness record is just as remarkable as his scoring rate. At the time of writing, the Portuguese has scored 448 goals in 435 matches for Los Blancos, and over his 8 full years with the club, he's missed an average of 4.9 league games per season. That means it took 6 years for CR7 to sit out as many matches as Robben did in 2, and he's won 3 Champions Leagues in the white shirt. Fortunately for us, Robben was a similar success at Bayern and now has 11 titles to his name. So that was 10 of the best upgrades in football history. What did you guys think? Let us know in the comments below whether we missed any out. And if you enjoyed this, why don't check out yesterday's Scout Report. I think I was on it again, so sorry about that. But I promise there'll be more variety this week. And as ever, people, don't forget to like and subscribe.